Title 42 and Biden's moment of truth on immigration. The Supreme Court will rule on the policy, which keeps some migrants in Mexico. Title 42 is a provision of the 1944 Public Health Services Law that allows the U.S. government to prevent the entrance of people into the country during public health emergencies. Relying on this provision, the Trump administration issued an order during the pandemic that authorized the immediate expulsion of migrants without giving them a chance to apply for asylum. Although President Biden entered office pledging to create a less restrictive policy, his administration continued to use Title 42 to expel families while exempting unaccompanied minors. The American Civil Liberties Union sued to end this practice, and a federal district judge decided in its favor. Republican state attorneys general appealed this ruling to a federal appeals court and then to the U.S. Supreme Court. On Monday evening, Chief Justice John Roberts issued a temporary stay of the district judge's ruling while making it clear that a final judgment would be rendered quickly. If the Supreme Court upholds the use of Title 42, the Biden administration will enjoy some breathing room to roll out its promised new strategy for border security. If not, it could be forced to abandon the linchpin of its current policy as early as December 21. Although Biden administration officials say they are ready for this, the termination of Title 42 enforcement could cause attempted border crossings, already at record levels, to increase to between 9,000 and 14,000 a day. Many asylum seekers would qualify for a full review of their claims, even though most are migrating for economic reasons and don't meet the criteria for refugee status. This would increase the burden on an already overloaded asylum system. During this lengthy process, many awaiting a hearing would fade into existing immigrant communities, adding to the number of persons residing in the U.S. without legal authorization. Speaking in El Paso, Texas, last week, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas stated, "Our asylum system is broken. Our immigration system as a whole is broken." He's right, which raises the question why the Biden administration hasn't pushed harder for basic reforms during its first 2 years. In fairness, this breakdown didn't begin when Joe Biden took the oath of office. For nearly 3 decades, policy experts and blue-ribbon commissions have urged fundamental changes. Congress has grappled with this challenge several times, under Republican and Democratic presidents alike, without success. In 2013, a Senate proposal received strong bipartisan backing and passed the Senate with a 68-32 vote but died in the House, ending the last chance to change course before Donald Trump shifted the debate from comprehensive reform to a border wall. The result has been the worst of both worlds, a surge in unauthorized migration coupled with a shortfall of legal immigrants that economists estimate is responsible for about half of the labor shortage that is hamstringing many businesses and increasing inflationary pressures. The U.S. needs to step up security measures on the southern border, shift toward skills as the principal basis for permanent admissions, and manage guest worker programs to meet employers' seasonal agricultural needs while ensuring fair treatment for workers. As a short-term measure, the Biden administration is reportedly considering a revival of the transit ban backed by Stephen Miller, who led the charge for hardline immigration measures in the Trump White House. This measure would require migrants who pass through other countries on the way to the U.S. to apply for asylum, and get rejected, in one of those countries before doing so in America. A federal court ended the use of this procedure in 2020, and it isn't clear that it would fare any better now. Adding to the administration's challenge is a historic shift in the sources of migration at the border. For the first time ever, according to the Migration Policy Institute, U.S. border agents encountered more Venezuelans, Cubans and Nicaraguans than Salvadorans, Guatemalans and Hondurans, along with increasing numbers from countries even farther afield. This matters because the U.S. lacks repatriation agreements with several of these countries, and political repression in Venezuela, Cuba and Nicaragua makes it nearly impossible to safely return migrants there, according to MPI. As a result, only 2% of migrants from these 3 countries are legally subject to immediate expulsion, compared with 86% of Mexicans. And, despite a program to expand temporary holding facilities, it seems unlikely that the U.S. government would be able to detain the surge of migrants that government officials are predicting. Since the beginning, the Biden administration has been hindered by disagreements between progressive advocates who reject most measures to toughen border enforcement and moderates who understand that the current situation is untenable. If the termination of Title 42 occurs, the moment of truth will have arrived, and the administration will be forced to take steps that progressives won't like. This is bound to evoke high-decibel protests, but the alternative is an out-of-control border that strains the resources of border areas and threatens Mr. Biden's prospects in 2024.